Vitamin B12 is also known as cyanocobalamin. It is the most chemically complex of all the vitamins. Vitamin B12 is used by the body in two forms, either as methylcobalamin or 5-deoxyadenosylcobalamin. Methionine synthase needs methylcobalamin as a cofactor. It is involved in the conversion of the amino acid homocysteine into methionine. Methionine is required for DNA methylation. B12 deficiency therefore causes impaired DNA methylation and a buildup of homocysteine. 5-deoxyadenosylcobalamin is a cofactor needed to convert L-methylmalonyl-CoA to succinyl-CoA. This conversion is important in the extraction of energy from proteins and fats. B12 deficiency therefore interferes with the production of succinyl-CoA. Succinyl-CoA is needed for the production of hemoglobin. This is how B12 deficiency causes anemia. Vitamin B12 is found in animal products. It is unchanged by cooking, has a 2 to 4 year body store. It has a carrier-mediated absorption in the terminal ileum. The absorption of B12 from the GI tract into the bloodstream is somewhat complicated. What is the carrier-mediated absorption of B12? B12 is taken in as dietary vitamin B12 and released from ingested proteins in the stomach by pepsin and acid. It is rapidly bound by one of two vitamin B12 binding proteins. Intrinsic factor is a B12 binding protein. It is secreted by parietal cells of the gastric mucosa. The B12 connects to intrinsic factor and then attaches to receptors for intrinsic factor on the ileal mucosa. B12 is then absorbed from the GI tract into the bloodstream. How much vitamin B12 is stored in the human body? The human body has sufficient stores to prevent B12 deficiency for years after onset of decreased intake or utilization of B12. What are 4 causes of vitamin B12 deficiency? 1. Pernicious anemia. This is caused by antibodies against intrinsic factor and gastric parietal cells. 2. Malabsorption. This is usually related to small bowel disease or pancreatic insufficiency. This can also be seen in people with severe diarrhea. 3. Inadequate dietary intake. This is uncommon but can be seen in strict vegetarians. 4. Decreased B12 absorption. This can be seen in people with fish tapeworm and can be seen with certain medications. What are 3 surgical causes of B12 deficiency? Surgical causes of B12 deficiency include gastrectomy, excision of terminal ileum, and blind loop syndrome. What are the 3 categories of neurologic abnormalities associated with B12 deficiency? The first category of neurologic manifestations of B12 deficiency is damage to posterior column, which results in parasthenias, disturbed vibratory sense, loss of proprioception. The second category of neurologic manifestations of B12 deficiency is damage to the pyramidal tract, resulting in spastic weakness and hyperreflexia. The third category of neurologic manifestations of B12 deficiency is cerebral damage, resulting in dementia, psychosis, megaloblastic madness, and optic atrophy. Patients with neurologic manifestations of B12 deficiency can develop eventual degeneration of the dorsal and lateral portions of the spinal cord. What are the 2 blood tests that are generally increased in the setting of B12 deficiency? B12 deficiency can result in abnormally increased levels of homocysteine and methylmalonic acid. FlashMed, video flashcards.